Oh.
Please enter your participant or moderator code followed by the pound key. Please say your name followed by the pound key. You are the first participant in the conference.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion Derby, second from Smith to approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consider for approval fiscal year 22-23 REAP report.
That needs to be tabled until next week.
All right. Yeah, I can't remember. We're ready for you.
It'd be really close on that phone. That's just touch screen.
Yeah. I bet we could. It just costs money.
That would lose way too much power.
Well, quick jump to 4. Auditor's office will discuss drainage matters.
I have nothing right now.
Anybody else?
It rained.
It rained, yeah.
Testing it.
And I haven't heard anything
It
yet.
hasn't come up much either, so.
Yeah. It was dry.
No, it was so dry.
Yeah.
But I haven't noticed any standing water anywhere. I have noticed some beans that don't look very good. Got a band of hail out like Steve Bosman, all Vance's out in that area. Then there was a field south of town. I don't know, it just got blown over by winds, terrible. Just blown down to the ground.
I had heard the reports that down by Crystal Lake had over 5 inches. They had 3 1/4.
You know, right in Buffalo, mine, I only had 1.6.
Yeah,
But
there was this narrow strip that went through the 2 inches.
But you got up by Steve Bosman, he had over 3. I remember it.
That's what it's-
Okay, I assume this is open forum.
Looks like it.
We're doing that.
Up to you.
Either that or we're gonna play the Jeopardy music.
I like open forum.
Anything else? Anybody got anything open forum other? You do?
I'll give you something, guys. They started digging and taking out the cement down here. I think I sent you guys a picture.
Yeah, I saw it.
It's cool.
So, yep.
Have they
So-
taken the sign out yet, or?
No, they have not.
Okay.
I asked them about that, but they didn't say anything, so. Is it Travis? I think it was Travis. And he didn't say anything about it, so.
Oh, they're gonna have to dig right where that sign is, so it's gonna
Yep,
happen.
I thought, yep.
Do you want to talk about that for open forum?
Oh, I guess, yeah, we can talk about that. We had met last week with them and they were gonna locate the sanitary sewer line, from the existing facility, and it goes straight east. And they think they could hook right into that, so that'll help.
Save some money.
So, yeah, we're hoping that will save some money, but we'll have to find out. Depends on what the depth is and, when it comes out, it's gonna be when the sewer line goes, it goes fairly flat and then it drops and then it goes flat and then it drops. Well, there's several probably drops out by the sidewalk, so it all depends where they tie into it. So that was a good thing, and then we found out from the city that, we won't have to go into the street and hook up on either water or sewer, since it's all gonna be one building. So we don't have those multi-$1,000 fees. So. Anyway, so I think we'll be saving some work, or saving some cost and work, so, on that. That's about all there was right now.
That's good news.
So it's a good start.
Yeah, good. Hope it stays that way.
You just make it through that tree stump.
All right, Scott.
Morning.
Morning.
Our microsurfacing project continues, and so they're working on R74 still today, and hopefully be finished up today or tomorrow in that location, and then they'll be moving up to Scarville, and he's hoping to have that entirely done by Saturday if we don't get any rain, but otherwise maybe midweek next week at the latest. So that project is really taking a while, and but that's okay. They're making progress even on slow days, making some. So.
I was out to Rice Lake yesterday, and that little jaunt, they'd already done that mile or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess I thought there was gonna be more granules in it, but it seemed pretty sparse for granules.
I don't know, the only way to tell, really get a good feel for that is to watch them put it on the road when they do it. I don't know how to explain what it looks like, but you know, there's the emulsified asphalt and the limestone and the water and the cement all gets mixed up in this plug mill and then spread on the road in a continuous operation. And it doesn't emulsify perfectly, so like once it goes on the road, the oil still kind of wants to pull away from the rock. So sometimes you'll see like it looks really smooth on the outside where it's kind of downhill from the center line of the road, and then it looks a little bit more popcorn textured, I guess, because the oil wants to move. But the rates have been pretty consistent. Where you'll see, he's talked to me a little bit about some variation. So there's just a rubber squeegee that's pulled along the top of the material. And if the road's really smooth, it'll almost start to drag it. Whereas if the road's old and kind of pitted, it'll kind of pull the material underneath. So they've had to adjust the pressure on their squeegee in order to get the correct rates. And, you know, depending on the surface texture of the existing road, the rock rates might go up or down, or the oil rates might go up or down. They don't necessarily always go together. It's kind of a, you have to feel it out once they get to the job site.
And I suppose these were all hot milled and smooth to start.
Yeah, the road they're working on now, he says, has been a little bit of a challenge. They don't do a lot of brand new surfaces.
Oh, as long as it protects the road, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think it's important to think of this as a sacrificial layer.
Yeah.
It's something that we expect to last for 5 to 10 years, but I expect it to shine off over time, you know, under snowplow traffic. It's just intended to seal the surface and, you know, keep us from, you know, damaging the old surface. Also, see, you know, keep sun off of it from UV damage, all those kinds of things. It's not intended to be like a new surface.
When they stripe it, there's no milling process to put it down. They're just spraying it.
Correct.
Okay. Now, has it been proven that it's not beneficial to set it down in?
I think it's been proven that it is beneficial. Just a matter of if it's cost is worth the benefits. I mean, you can see like north of Lake Mills, we didn't groove the paint in, and that looks pretty tough right now. after just a year. Paint on new surfaces is always pretty tough, because, I don't know, something about asphalt doesn't really
Repel
like
it more.
paint, yeah. And micro is gonna be the same way, it doesn't really like paint.
So you almost need to go a year later following up.
Probably, yeah. So I think there will be opportunities in the future to groove in paint, and we're kind of evaluating that. It is very expensive because it's not a common machine that companies would have.
I talked to somebody up in Minnesota who works for the county up there, and he said they went away from it because it just wasn't worth it.
Well,
It would be on a new surface, you would think it's gonna be there for 15 years, 20 years.
yeah, I mean, I think that
But
we,
something temporary for 5 years might not be worth it.
yeah. I think, some of the new stuff we did in 2016, and then all the stuff we did in 2020, we grooved, and all that paint really does stick around for a while after it's done. I think it was maybe 4 years after it's painted before some of the stuff got restriped. So, it can last twice, 3 times as long, I think, but the price up front is probably 2, 3, maybe 4 times as much. So,
How deep is the groove?
nickel, like a thickness of a nickel,
That's all.
yeah. The paint, and then after they paint, they put these glass beads down in the wet paint to try and improve reflectivity. And those beads are like, a little bit coarser than play sand, maybe, sandblock sand, whatever. So, you need that thickness to really have the benefit.
More than paint.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And at nighttime, if the beads aren't perfectly applied, you can see the paint lines with the beads and not the paint without. I mean, if they didn't have beads, it almost wouldn't be worth painting.
Is that made from recycled bottles?
No, they're glass, but I don't know. Not sure.
You wouldn't be able to use 7-Up bottles. 'Cause if you-
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. So, yeah, none of this will be grooved, so we'll have quite a bit of paint now that isn't grooved. I don't know if you remember, but in like 2014, we did a grooving project, kind of standalone thing to do all the older roads that hadn't been grooved, and I thought that was a good project. But now that we're looking at more surface treatments, like if you put microsurfacing over one of those roads, you'll wipe out that benefit. So that's kind of why we chose not to do it north of Lake Mills. We thought we would revisit that with some maintenance treatment earlier, and
Is there a curing time where you have to wait to paint it until it cures?
Well, I mean, like the DOT project a couple of years ago, they were painting, the very evening, so that when they left, it was painted, and that, not very good. I didn't think the paint doesn't take very early, but the micro mix continues to set up over time, so I would think if you waited a few days or a few weeks, it would take it a lot better. So, by the time our paint gets here, some of the stuff we've already done will have been sitting for 3-4 weeks. So hopefully that takes paint really well. Hopefully the painters can be here next week and do all the stuff that's done, and by the time they get done microsurfacing, they'll be kind of right on their tails.
Are we blading this week, since it's moisture in the road?
Well, I think they were doing a lot of mowing yesterday because of the rain chances, Blading works well when we have moisture, but not in the rain.
It's kind of hit and miss today.
Yeah, so I guess I'm not sure if they're blading today. We're gonna get started stockpiling buffalo here, and I think the guys in Buffalo are already stockpiling, but the other truck drivers are finishing up some brush work. We've kind of taken it upon ourselves to do a little bit of hand brush work, and get some big stuff knocked down and out of the way. The guys with the mini hoe are pulling some of the scrub brush out in spots.
I wish the state would do that too.
Yeah, spraying goes a long way, but you leave a lot of dead brush
It still grabs snow.
that still does, it has the same problems. So,
It's 38, Is that the final code on it out there
8:30.
as of Saturday?
From R-74 to the state line?
Or, well, no, going towards
Or
Joyce.
to the county line, sorry.
All right.
Yeah, to the county line.
Thought maybe that's what you meant. Is, the pavement, the coat that they just put on there is much coarser, makes a lot more noise as far as tire noise,
In comparison to,
what it was even before they put that final coat on.
yeah, that is true. And
It's-
I expected that kind of feedback, you know, because after the hot place, I mean, that's like brand new hot mix asphalt. The way it rides, it sounds, it's smooth. And this is rougher than anything else we have, so it does ride.
You give it a couple ice storms and scraping, I think it'll be a lot smoother.
Yeah, I mean, if
Well,
you,
and the only thing I could think of is possibly, you know, I mean, your traction would probably be better on it if it's a little coarser.
certainly is. And it's a, I don't know, a huge part of the marketing for the product is traction. Like they, you know, famously put microsurfacing over the Cedar Rapids bridges through the, you know, on I-380 through those, I don't know, S curves and around the,
Where everybody goes above the speed limit.
yeah. You know, so there's concrete bridges and different kinds of pavement. They microsurf it over the whole thing just to get better traction,
So that works over concrete too?
I guess. It's,
I suppose it's got Portland in it.
yeah, I mean, it's real soupy when you put it down. So I mean, it's chance to soak into the pores and everything. But yeah, if anybody's wondering what it's gonna look like, right? We did microsurfacing on 105 for that 1 mile a couple years ago from Lake Mills to the Worth County line. And that really does look nice. I stopped out there the other day and it's smooth. All the points of the rocks have been
And that's the
Great
same
job.
product as this.
same product.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the oils are exactly the same or not. We didn't do any testing or any material certs on that because we were kind of a spillover from the DOT job and we just said, hey, come do this.
Did they offer different specs?
No. I'd have to look up what the spec requirements are. I mean, they had to follow the Iowa DOT specs for both jobs.
Okay.
So it'd be the same set of specifications.
But I mean, when
Maybe
you did this
multiple.
project, they didn't offer different specs that you could choose from.
No,
Okay, so it must be the same.
yeah, or very, similar properties.
Anything else for secondary roads?
I'll mention too that we had Adam Klein started on Monday, and then Logan, of course, started last Monday, so we got 2 guys on board, and then Andrew starts on Monday for the mechanic position. So those guys are doing so far so good. Logan's had a chance to do a little bit of blading up on, toward the state line, and so if you come across it or whatever, he's doing some practicing up there. And I'm sure with that will come some interest, right?
Lower traffic roads.
I think I'm not sure which ones he's been on, but I think they're just kind of trying to put him in the rhythm that, Bob left him in it. Kind of continue on his work, so.
All right, nothing else for secondary roads? Move on to number 5, Joe Kukow, EMS discussion with possible action, grant money and press release.
Well, we catch everyone up. We've got a couple packets here. This is just what we're working on for job postings for the EMT spot for the county. That's the top 3. One of them's the .9, which is full-time. And then we talked about doing a PRN and a .3 for FTE. They're the same thing, it just changes the amount of time that they're working. So we're working on getting that up and running. The next page back is what we kind of set for a wage matrix. So the way it works is the starting is for brand new people, like someone fresh out of EMT school or paramedic school, and then give the EMT levels 25 cents for every year that they have experience, up to 5 years, and paramedics up to 50 cents a year for experience. And we kind of took this out of the city, and we kind of made it match the city, so we didn't have to do a bunch of pay restructuring for the current paramedics we have. Because if you see down below, as a street medic, at $20 an hour, I had topped out of my base salary, basically. Spencer's got another 75 cents. So the way they did it in the city under the union contract was every other year you got a raise. And we changed it to give people experience. We kind of cut the raises and then did it every year. Does that make sense to you, kind of?
So is the paramedic, the 50 cents a year, and that's at 5 years?
Yeah, everything tops at 5 years. So anything 5 years or more, you don't get credit for. And then that's kind of your top out. And then we've been playing with and talking with the idea on how to keep it together. So that's the yellow stuff. That's just a 3% cost of living raise to the base, and then clearly to the employees too. But yeah. So that was kind of to go inside with the posting that we're working on getting put out there. We have a meeting the first, what was it, the 3rd? I think October 3rd, we have another EMS meeting that we're going to. And then the next is just your press release. 4 cities looked at it, Buffalo Center looked at it, I think Lake Mills. We brought it up at the county meeting. They all thought it looked good. So that's what we.
Got the county-wide EMS.
Yeah, the county-wide EMS meeting, we brought it up. So that's the final version that everyone's looked at. So if
And
that's
the
what you.
advisory council as well? Yes.
Yeah, we brought it to the advisory council. I forget what meetings I brought it to.
How often is the tech committee meeting?
Well, I brought up a meeting, and I had a couple people ask, well, what are we gonna talk about at the meeting? And I said, well, I don't know, do you guys have anything to talk about? And they said, well, we're not coming to a meeting if we don't have something to vote on and move on. So I said, right now, I think everything's being handled with the 3 ambulances and our every other week meetings, trying to get the postings and stuff up and running. And the technical committee seemed okay with not having a meeting because there really wasn't anything to decide. So we really haven't had a meeting. Do you want me to get the president to call a meeting?
I
Or?
just asked how often you think it's gonna.
We're hoping to do right before every quarter, once we get up and running, every quarter before the advisory council meeting, in case there's something the ambulances want. But right now, there's just kind of so much going on, and there's not much.
And a number of the ambulances are meeting with the countywide EMS.
Yeah, because we're meeting about every other week
And
right
the difference is that the tech committee includes the cities.
now. Yeah, it includes the cities, and even like talking with Daisy, it was kind of,
Redundant.
well, we don't, there's, until there's really a need for financial backing or a problem we can't get solved with the ambulances, there really isn't a reason for the technical committee to meet, so. But the only complaint I've had, Lake Mills, wants me to not put Adrian on nights, because there's been a couple nights, like over the weekend, where we've done a 24 over the weekend, and they said, because right now Lake Mills has been getting Adrian for 24, and then Buffalo Center and Forest City get him for 12. So there was like 1 or 2 times where I put him on a night shift up in Lake Mills, like Sunday night, thinking it would give people a night off for whatever, and we can cover nights, we don't want nights. Okay, so we're working working on getting
That
him
was
straight days.
originally what they talked about is that they needed the daytime.
It's just, there was,
coverage.
just like all, there's weekends where they don't have coverage either, so I was trying to.
Well, there was an incident last week where Fort City had to cover because they didn't have,
Yeah, there's still days where we have to cover, but
and that person was concerned that it took a while, and in their mind.
and it does. I mean, it takes a long time.
What, a 90-some-year-old lady laying in front of the grocery store or something?
We're working towards getting the centralized scheduling. Buffalo Centers, we're getting Buffalo Center onboarded. They're excited about it. I don't know how it's gonna go up in Lake Mills. They kind of like their current schedule app, but we're trying to get it so we can have everything and see everything and make life a little simpler that way. That day, actually, no one knew they didn't even have a crew. So it did take a while because it also took a while on the dispatch end because no one knew.
Yeah, so communication's key.
Yeah, no one knew that there wasn't a crew in Lake Mills. So, the other kind of hurdle we're working on is we're like, well, because we've talked about taking days where Lake Mills doesn't have a crew and we have Adrian in Fort City. We've talked about moving him to Lake Mills, but then it's like, well, they already get him 24 hours a day,
And if there's not a driver for him,
Yeah, well, and they'd usually have a pretty good chance of having a driver. They have, the providers where they're hurting, and so it's like, well, what do we do? Do we move him from Fort City? But then Fort City's Buffalo Center and Fort City are already getting him less hours. We're just gonna try to get the void filled, try to get some people hired, so.
yeah, if you can get that communication thing with the scheduling, if everybody's on the same page,
That'll
that'll
help.
be really good.
The association has some money in their checking account, and I just got the bill for adding the rest of them, and it was like $700 for the rest of the year. So the county's going to pay that. The association's going to pay that out of our checking for Buffalo and Lake Mills. And then if we like that app, then we'll just keep using it because Fort City Ambulance has a contract, and that expires in February. And there's the potential of some other opportunities in February. Our dispatching apps and stuff might have a schedule by then, so we'll see.
How about Thompson?
I talked a little bit with Mike, and we've talked a little bit with the fire department. This week, we've done a 12-hour thing. So I'm only working 124 this week, and then I'll work 2 12s. And we're hoping to get something settled up in Thompson where on those 12-hour days we can put me or whoever up in Thompson. The days we have 2 paramedics on staff, get the response unit and stuff. We're hoping we can get something figured out with the fire department. We've planted the seed up there a little bit. We did bring Thompson. The ambulance got a grant about a year ago. And we gave the Thompson Fire Department an AED, and I took it up there about fair time, a little shortly after fair. And they've got that on their fire truck, so the firefighters that have CPR, they're gonna respond for anything with CPR in progress up in Thompson. Or be paged, hopefully, someone's around. So that's a turn in the right direction, and then hopefully we can get something worked out where we can stay there. And I think it would be best for both parties, get someone in the building, walking around. It's, I think, the cheapest route to stay at the station, so you have less snow removal, less heat, less.
Is there an empty bay that you can pull into then?
The only thing we would have to do is figure out a way to double lock the drugs without locking the vehicle, because the vehicle, my feeling is if we're gonna leave a vehicle in someone's garage, they gotta be able to move it, if they're cleaning or having a pancake breakfast or whatever.
There's a fire.
Yeah, or there's a fire. So yeah, we just gotta, and that's, in my opinion, the biggest hurdle we'd have to overcome, and that isn't anything. easily done.
So do you think that anything about Thompson should be added to this press
So
release?
these are the postings for the EMT that's gonna be staffing the ambulance, so they wouldn't be, or you mean the press release?
Yeah.
Oh, press release? I guess I kinda left it out because I don't have really any concrete stuff and I didn't wanna be putting.
You could do another one later on
Yeah,
that.
and that was kinda my thought, was maybe the end of the year, put another one in.
Okay.
That's not me, that's gotta be you. My thoughts are, later on, when we get a little more concrete information between the city and the fire department, we can put another one out that, here's the next step or phase.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be putting out ideas or thoughts,
You
and
give them too much, then they get things confused.
people start running with it. Well, you said, and then something falls
And
through.
if you try something up there and it has to change, then you have a chance to change it without everybody
So.
knowing the whole process.
Yeah, I'd like to get a couple more, as this all grows, I'd like to get some more press releases out. Because I want factual information, but I also want feedback,
Yeah, what I need is to be able to email this to someone who has big questions.
And I can,
So that I don't have to say it 20 times, every phone call somebody makes or every text somebody.
everything that you got in the paper form, I sent to Carla via email too. So Carla has all of this in the electronic format,
Oh, good.
so whatever you
I
want
might
to do.
have you send it to my personal email, because it'll be easier for me to send it out then. Okay.
The other thing, we were gonna talk about, the grant money. So I've been looking around. We did bring an invoice from Stryker, because we had the used Lucas that we bought. We brought the invoice. We haven't paid it yet. I haven't paid it out of the ambulance because we were kind of waiting to see if we were doing, what we were doing. That's for $12,000 for the Lucas device for that second response unit from the grant. I did talk with Mike Dressler a little bit about vehicles. It sounds like about the only thing that the state has right now that a guy could maybe get would be a Dodge Durango. And then it sounds like all the 2024 Ford Explorers are going to be filled with 2023s that weren't delivered. So at best, when they open, it sounds like if we're wanting an Explorer, which we don't really want to pick up, you could order a 2025. The problem is, with the grant money, we have to have that used by June. I haven't had a lot of help from, every time I call the dealerships, they seem to be less than helpful.
How long did it take, Mike, to get this latest one we're paying for today?
I'm not 100%.
It was something that Stivers already had
Yeah,
coming, and so they got to get it. They are also, the sheriff's department is in the same boat. They cannot get anything for 2024.
yeah.
So if they need a new vehicle, it's gonna be tough.
So you're saying they ordered 2024, they get a 2023 that wasn't built?
No, yeah, so in 2022, everybody ordered 2023s and they got such a backlog with them that if your order wasn't filled in 2023, the way I understand it, is they're rolling it over and now you're getting a 2024 and they're not taking any orders for 2024s.
That order's been taken.
Yeah, yep, and so now they're taking the orders for 2025s in 2023. And it sounds like the order bank
Sounds
for,
like dump trucks.
yeah,
It does.
it's a mess. But, and then it sounds like the order bank is only open for a week or two. Like, it's gonna be a really
I'm
short
sure
window.
the UAW strike doesn't help either.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. And I mean, like right here, a Dodge Durango on state bid, the little bit I know on reading these, look like they're about 40,000. And I was hoping to get a state bid because that'll cheapen it up for other things like
And what did you figured on that part of it? Was it 40 or?
I wanna say it was 38, I think, wasn't it, Billy? I think the grant was 38 for the vehicle, and then, cause I think there was, I had 25, I think I had 15 and 10 for the monitor.
42 or 43 for the vehicle.
Was it? I can't remember, I'd have to look. But it was right around 40. Cause then I figured 15 and 10 for the monitor and the Lucas. We got a Lucas bought for 12, and we've got a monitor we can put in it down at the ambulance garage. Stryker gave us a monitor back that we had on trade-in. It's older. I mean, it's, what are they, 12 years old, I think? But when we traded our old monitors in for new ones, I asked about buying them back, and they actually ended up just giving us the monitors. So we're gonna stick that in there. And then the rest was gonna go towards lights and radios, which we've been writing grants for radios. We just put one into the Hanson Foundation as a Forest City Ambulance to get
Was it Hanson Foundation or Winnebago Foundation?
Hanson Foundation for the radios. Winnebago Foundation is for the power stretcher and cot for an ambulance, for the ambulance side. But, yeah, we just wrote a grant to the Hanson Foundation for radios to try to help with radios for this, and then more pagers. But, yeah, so basically, I don't know. That's kind of where we're stuck. I'm working on trying to figure out a vehicle, so when we decide what to do with the grant money, we can pull the pin. And we've got that legwork done, but I'm meeting a lot of resistance on finding a
What's
vehicle.
the availability of a good used vehicle?
Well, and that's an idea too. I haven't really
You have
looked.
more for the equipment in a sense.
Does the grant money qualify for used?
I would assume it qualifies for a vehicle.
Okay, I
Yeah.
don't think with my federal bids, if I have to state it ahead of time in the application that it has to be.
You know,
I don't remember a stipulation in there that it was.
I was just, well, and
I
that's,
mean, it was done on a new vehicle, but I wouldn't think that,
I would think the mental health board would understand, you know, especially,
Availability.
because I'm sure they're up against the same thing, trying to find vehicles, you know.
I'm sure we've heard it.
I don't think there's a way we're gonna possibly even, unless we were to get a Dodge Durango, one of the two that's left, I don't think there's a way that we're gonna get a vehicle by July of '24 any other way to meet the requirements of spending the money. Cause that was within a year, right, Carla? For the grant
it's gotta
money?
be done by June of 29, or,
Yeah.
or
And the timeline for the Durango was,
I don't know, I'm not real versed on this, but it sounded like these were sitting somewhere, cause these are you guys know about a Stu Hansen's?
yeah,
Okay, so it must be that these are Dodge Durangos, they must be sitting at Stu Hansen's.
Is that Des Moines?
There's a
Yeah.
list in that package.
it's down that way.
Towards the back.
So, I mean, I'm
Kinda like
assuming,
Pritchard's has all these trucks sitting out
Yeah.
there because they're fleet.
and I think that's the same thing, you know, that's the state bid wrestler printed off with, oh,
somebody told me all them pickups out there have some kind of recall.
Something. They're getting through that. I was told that they're, a lot of them are just fleet.
so I don't know what we wanna do, I don't know how we wanna go.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to find a decent used one that you can trust, you know?
Well, I mean, you know, yeah,
Well,
there's some that are being, I'm sure we could find sheriff's department, but at what point, you know,
Is it expended?
yeah, how much
Right.
life is left in the sheriff's
you
department?
don't want one with 100-some thousand on it. It'd be nice if you could find a used something that had 20 or 30,000 on it, that you would
But
have.
who's giving those up?
Yeah, that's why I said the ability.
Yeah.
I was skeptical when I asked the question.
My opinion is if you can get a Durango, it seems like the way to go. Just be done with it.
Yeah.
If they've got two that are there right now,
And-
it actually sounds like you need to
Maybe get on it.
get on with that.
I mean, yeah, and I don't know enough about this whole process. This is literally the first time I've done it, so I don't know. Do you know much about it, or?
Well, I can certainly help if you need help.
We'll work on getting on that and.
Well, but particularly, yeah.
No, yeah, that's what I basically said.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of a Durango, but it is what it
Different
is.
times now.
Yeah, it's all different.
And everything will fit.
Yeah, we'll make it all work and it'll,
Though, right? Yeah.
Maybe it'll prove us wrong,
yeah, maybe I'll end up loving a Dodge Durango, I don't know.
as long as you don't drive it like the Dukes I have.
Yeah. I won't, but there are a couple boys that.
Oh, yeah. Throw them under the bus.
Yep. Do you guys have any other questions, anything you wanna see differently?
I think I'm past my 20 questions.
Okay. Susan, you got 5 more to throw in, or?
No, I have a comment that I've talked to a number of the advisory council and they're pleased.
I was gonna say, that's kind of the vibe I got on, was it Monday or Wednesday or whenever they were,
I called them after and
we're trying, and we're open. I mean, if anyone's hearing stuff, by all means, please give us feedback. If we don't know it's we don't know it's broken, we can't fix it, so.
this is what we really needed for me.
Oh, the press release?
Lots of people thinking that it's not,
And it's good to have the
Fair,
info on what you're hiring too.
Yeah,
and then when we have an incident, that happens in Lake Mills, of course, the phone rings a lot.
yeah, and of course, it's always gotta happen uptown where people see it, and, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So, no, we're working on it. It's not a problem. If the problem wasn't made overnight, we're not gonna get it fixed overnight, but I think we're going in the right direction, and,
Good.
we've had a lot of, critical calls where we have had Adrian up there that would have normally waited.
It's never gonna be.
No, and in my mind, the good thing is the public doesn't see those calls because the system's working as it should. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did have a number of people who, when I tried to explain the situation and how this whole thing works, is that it would be nice if there was, I know you talked about it, T-shirts,
Mhm.
that said Winnebago County
Yep.
EMS, and I think that would be helpful especially when there's a crowd around, If there's nobody around, it's.
I don't know if there's a new logo that can include Winnebago on it. It could be, to me, if it's just all-inclusive type thing or something.
Well, and that's kind of the problem because we don't know how much we can advertise as Winnebago County EMS because it's not really a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just that then every time we have to explain.
I don't know if that'd be something like, just to assimilate the snowmobile trails. Says funded by the state dollars. Maybe if you had something somewhere that says funded by county dollars, whether it was on the truck or on or on shirts or whatever.
Something, or just anytime we have.
Maybe we could
press.
figure out a way to put something like Forest City Ambulance and then do like county EMT or county medic or
County funded.
yeah, county funded or
Something.
okay.
Because those are the conversations that we've had to have all.
Winnebago County underneath the,
Or how about we put Carla's problem underneath of it?
Call Carla.
Call Carla.
Carla, and even put the number. Put the phone number even.
I think it's a great idea, Carla.
I'm getting a call
Yeah.
from you.
You're calling me? What now?
You're calling me.
Why am I calling you?
I don't know.
Oh, there we go. Apparently Siri.
He
Apparently
is-
Siri caught on to call Carla.
Saying her name.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yes.
So the next thing you'll see is basketball, Siri says.
Oh, boy.
I digress.
So yeah, if you guys ever have questions, don't be afraid to call. This is Emily, by the way. Emily is our president for the ambulance. So we're finally getting everything all settled, and I think
So when did Emily become president?
officially about 24 hours after we signed the 2080 agreement, roughly, give or take. There was a couple.
Emily, I've heard lots of good things about you.
So she's been really spearheading the grants. Her and another volunteer have been getting after grants and stuff, which is.
Would the Lay Foundation be a good source?
We don't have.
So we've tried for like Forest City ambulance, we can't, but for the countywide we could.
So,
Okay.
and we're getting that checkbook squared around after 10 years of dormant life, and all of those numbers squared around, and then we're gonna start applying to things like the Lay for money in that account to help buy equipment or whatever, you know. So,
So that's a whole separate entity, so, yeah, say the casino monies, that foundation, if you wouldn't be tied to anything Winnebago County, because it's a separate.
yeah, and you know, there again, the vehicle has the potential of going a lot of places, so, I mean, the other night, we almost ended up in Lakota, because Cassuth County was out of a paramedic, and they had a high acuity call, you know, so, you never know where you're gonna go.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
We discussed this too, though.
Okay, what,
We discussed it now.
oh, okay, I was gonna say, is that a me and you thing, or is that a thing here?
There's nothing we have to approve here.
Not for this.
I was gonna say, I'm comfortable moving forward, looking for vehicles and stuff with what we talked about.
Yep.
I think we should be good. My coffee I brought for Chris, because Chris don't drink coffee.
I'm sorry.
It's a gesture.
Thank you, though.
I should put my glasses on. They're in the truck. That was a good supervisor council meeting.
When I was out in the car, out in the parking lot out here, I thought, well, I'm gonna grab that right away when I grab my mail, and I forgot just on that little bitty walk.
I guess the nice thing about the Durango, if they did get it, you got a dealer right in town.
Wrong county, but
So
close enough, I guess.
the county's in or the company's in the county too,
Yeah.
up the road. We had one.
And number 6, we were gonna table.
Oh, yeah, we're way past it, aren't we? Yeah, I would recommend tabling number 6, because we want.
So that's why I didn't say anything, because I thought I heard.
Okay, I didn't know if you had to say anything.
Once you announce it,
Okay, number 6, 9:30 AM, discussion with possible action, was assumed we were tabling.
yeah, and the reason for tabling is we wanted to look at apples for apples on the quotes. The architect's gonna look through them.
So, I have a question. This must be a drainage district that hires a secretary?
I don't know what you're looking at.
Paperwork? Melissa?
Oh, no, she's a township.
Oh, she's a township.
Yes, she's a clerk up in Lincoln Township.
Oh,
Yes, and so they get $20 an hour, $20 per meeting, and they get $10 an hour for paperwork.
okay.
If they so choose to get that. Some don't, some do.
I don't know that I've seen it before, that's
I
why.
have.
Okay, yeah, she's done it before.
Okay.
And it, has to go through payroll. I used to do it in a claim, but now it goes through payroll.
When did that change?
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, from an IPER standpoint, it had to be, and they all have an option of getting IPERs. They have to sign a form if they want to get it or not.
So we could do the other one.
Number 8, consider for approval of county claims.
I'll make the motion to approve the county claims.
I'll second it.
Motion from Smith and second from Derby to approve the county claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second it.
Motion from Smith and second from Derby to approve the payroll claims. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up?
The only open opportunities, open forums.
Yeah, I already did that, so they had their chance, so we shouldn't get another one, right? Then we stand adjourned.